about one, um, and then I'll let you talk. Ooh, child, this parking lot is crazy. So we're doing a little a drive and talk in the snow in New York. Ooh, child. Okay, so my bestie's here, and she's queer. I'm queer, and she's more informative about these type of topics. Um, so that's why I have her here to have a conversation with me. Um, but yeah, we're still going to be talking about this T.S. Madison situation and the DL Whisperer because I think so much is being misconstrued and I truly can't stand it. So I'm going to have the honest conversation about it, and that's just going to be that. So like, comment, subscribe. I hope Black Girl hears this. We're having a good old combo. Um, if you know, you know, you know, you know. So the DL Whisperer is arrested. I'm not okay with that. I think it's very unfortunate. A lot of people dislike him and are happy he is in jail. I don't. I think that he needs mental help. I don't think jail is good for him. So that's why I'm like, that's frustrating. Once again, I don't know this person. I'm not saying everything they've done is right and they're an angel, but I don't think this individual going to jail is helping him, and T.S. Madison knows that. So, firstly, I want to start off by just saying a lot of people have been saying that I am homophobic, mainly gay men. Telling me I'm transphobic just because I'm not saying, oh my God, what he's doing to T.S. Madison. Ooh, it's so bad, it's so wrong. Um, I see them both as bad. Like they both be arguing, they both are catty. It is what it is. But we're not gonna sit here and act like, oh well, you know what, that's homophobic if you don't side with a trans woman. No, I've always sided with trans women. But for me, as a cis woman in my life right now, it feels bad, as in my life. I feel bad because, I'm grown, I've matured, and I've learned things. And I feel disrespected as a woman because a group of trans women online are attacking, you know, birth assigned women for what reason? Just because they don't want to do what they're doing, which is sleep with DL men. So that's the conversation. We're gonna be having that tough conversation. Amanda's gonna say a lot more. I'm going to mute myself now if you want to talk about some stuff.
Okay. Well, what should I mention? The whole.
Yeah,
Okay.
mention
Yeah.
what the problem, what the beef is, what the problem is, and then
Yeah.
they just talk. Like, yeah.
Okay. So, like you said, I feel like there's a lot of ignorance that I've noticed that has happened on both sides. As a queer person and a cis woman, you know, and the problem is that a lot of people in these audiences for T.S. Madison and for the DL Whisperer are not educated in like gay anything or like gay culture. Like there's a lot of straight people also on both sides that have so much to say about this topic that really confuses me because they really just don't like know anything that's even going on or any nuance to this conversation. And I think that people though have a problem saying things against like trans women who speak about their experience because they feel like it's automatically transphobic. And that's not necessarily true. If you have an informed opinion about something or an informed like, stance on something, you could have a point. And I think the point is that there are a lot of trans women out there, and of course not all, but there are some trans women out there that their view of themselves as women to be validated is misogynistic, and therefore they also treat cis women with that level of misogyny. And you see that with T.S. Madison because oftentimes she talks about, women who don't quote unquote pass, making her look bad as a trans woman. And as any trans person, you shouldn't be policing what other trans people do to look like a woman, quote unquote. Like your idea of femininity, like what does that even mean? You can't police femininity, as a trans woman or even as a cis woman. Like it makes no sense. So, but my problem, on the other half of it with DL Whisper is that like, I think that he's been through a lot himself and I do appreciate the content that he has made. However, it's also there is a question about, I think he has a very personal tied to this that makes him a little biased and kind of, he borders on being transphobic because he's personally offended by the things that are happening and the things that T.S. Madison says and how she provokes people, because she does. She provokes a lot of people, straight, gay, and trans, to just not like each other. I think because she feels intimidated by, you know, cis women maybe not liking her. She wants to make cis women feel bad or feel less than her for her transness, and to feel chosen by men, especially DL men. And I think that's even why we talked about this, me and Nia, before, about how, she's friends with Tyler Perry, like one of the ultimate DL men of all time. And I think people also have a problem, like some trans women or gay men, especially, have a sympathy towards DL men because they want to say that they're just closeted. However, in my opinion, as a queer person, there is a big difference between being closeted and being DL. Like, DL behavior is someone that will never intend on coming out in their life because they benefit in a way from being DL. And that might just be how they appear in society, or it might as well be like, they're predatory. Like, take Tyler Perry, for instance. He's a predatory DL man, predatory individual. So, like, the way that he moves about life and uses his power and influence to make people have relations with him, or abuse them, is very, like, predatory. It's very predatory and it's wrong. So a lot of DL people move that way, which is why they're so dangerous to everyone. Like, they're dangerous to cis women, to trans women, and to gay men as well. Like, they're usually very violent people, which is why a lot of trans women get how do I say that in a YouTube friendly
It's
way?
unalive. It's unalive.
Unalive. There you go. Yeah, a lot of trans women get unalived, and a lot of cis women who are in relationships with DL men tend to get experience DV. So it's like, it's a really big issue that a lot of people, it has a lot of nuance. And I think that we need to stop having sympathy for DL men at all. You can have sympathy for people in the closet, but that's a very different thing than being predatory about your behavior in the closet. And I don't think that DL men want to come out. So that's the big difference. And I think my only problem with the DL whisperer is that he doesn't fully explain, you know, to people, especially the cis women watching him, what this means, what the difference between those two things are. And also that you can be bi, that you can be into more than just women, and that's okay. And you also, as a cis woman, of course, have the choice not to date bi men, or whatever you want to do. You have the choice, of course. But I think the way he goes about it sometimes is so you can tell that he is personally affected, and that he probably needs a little help with that, because he makes things seem very black and white, and it makes a lot of cis women who are uneducated about queerness, um, you know, kind of question if any man who's doing something that isn't considered quote unquote masculine or conventionally masculine is a real man or a straight man. Like, that's also an issue. And sadly, I think that there's become a really transphobic rhetoric in his comments, because that he doesn't stop as well, because people want to disrespect T.S. Madison just because she might be wrong, and call her a man, call her this, disrespect her pronouns, say that she's not a real woman. Like, she is fully aware that she's not a real woman. She is a trans woman. She's not a biological woman, and she's aware of that. Like, nobody needs to point that shit out. But the point is, they're doing it intentionally because they're upset about the things that she has to say. And I think that you can hold trans people and queer people accountable, and gay people accountable, for what they do without being transphobic or homophobic. Like, not all gay people or trans people are the best people in the world. We're human as well. So it makes sense that some of us are still predatory, some of us are still assholes, some of us are not going to be good people, and that's just how it is. Like, we are people at the end of the day. Just because you're gay doesn't automatically mean that you're a good person, and you should be allowed to hold people accountable for that. And I think that people need to hold T.S. Madison equally accountable, as much as, like, the Dio Whisperer. And I don't think that they do, because of the fact that there is a perpetuated violence against trans women, especially trans Black women, in our community. So, she uses that against him, even though she threatens him just as much as, he threatens her. Um, she uses that. She uses that in her platform because she knows that people will want to protect her more than they will want to protect him. Because at the end of the day, they see a man and they see somebody who is more vulnerable. But at this point, I'm like, you know, he's been arrested, so it's just kind of like this has escalated to a point that I don't think it should have ever escalated to. Um, I don't know if you want to talk, so I'll pause.
Yeah, I loved everything that you said, and like, trust me, if I could say it in your way, I wish I could. This is why you're like my best friend. Like, you always educate me, and you look at things from a different perspective, nuance, but also with a clearer mind and patience. So I do appreciate that, and that's why I'm glad you're here. Even when I'm gonna be saying these things, I want people to know, like, when I'm talking to y'all, it's not just my thoughts; it's also like my bestie's thoughts. She is giving me advice on how to react, what you're seeing, how you're feeling, and we just talk. And I've noticed that, like, I haven't been wanting to talk because I'm tired, but I'm like, me and my bestie will have a full on talk about this discussion, and I'll be like, all right, guess gotta make a video, and I never make the video because I'm tired. So that is why she is here, and I'm just very thankful and I'm appreciative of your your mindset and the way you put things and articulate them. Now, to one thing that you said that I really love, you could back up. Sorry, y'all. New York City traffic and drivers are wild. One thing that you said was talking about how T.S. Madison uses the fact that there was so much hurt for trans women in DV in so many situations as a sympathy card. I'm labeling it that way, but that's just how I could say it, as a sympathy card. So therefore, if you try to say anything against her, you are homophobic, you're transphobic, all these things, right? And that's why I've been so fearful of talking about this, because this is a very, very interesting and I think a little bit pivotal. Like, I know there's some people that don't even know who these people are, but a little bit pivotal in what's happening in the world. And it reminds me of Me Too in a certain way, where it's like, what can I what can I say, or what can I do? It's very confusing to me, because at the end of the day, T.S. Madison is wrong in many cases. I don't study her. I don't know her like that. I could care less. But she is wrong in many ways. And if you try to say something, then you are deemed as transphobic. And that's an issue. Now, another thing I want to say about the trans girlies. I love everyone, so please don't think, anything bad. One thing I want to say about the trans girlies, when I look through the comments, I look what they look like, what they doing, I look at everything. And one thing I've noticed with the trans girlies, that it is not the ballroom girlies. Maybe y'all could find one in the comments, whatever, but it is not the ballroom professional girlies, creative director girlies. It is not the trans girlies that work a regular job, in a good way, regular. Like, you could be anything, like, you know what I mean? You could be like a salesperson, manager, doctor. It is not those girlies with, like, at least some, you know, brain. I'm gonna say that, some brain capacity. It's not those girlies that are upset. The trans girlies I see that are upset, which is unfortunate, are the ones that are doing sex work, the ones that want to do sex work, the ones that have these huge breasts and butts, the ones that have a huge filler face like T.S. Madison. Those are the girlies in the comments. The ones that also just don't have a job. No offense, not even trying to be rude. That as well. The ones that are not seeking to have I'm gonna put in quotes, normal life, but just be a woman and just like have a life. It is automatically, I'm gonna do sex work. And somebody said to me, trans women, T.S. Madison had no choice. And I feel bad, because I really like that subscriber. I had to block her because I was like, girl, no, thank you. She said that T.S. Madison had no choice but to be a sex worker, and that's a lie. T.S. Madison did have a choice. Every day we wake up, we have a choice to make in this world, including myself, and I've made choices I regret, and I've taken accountability and moved on. But I want women, trans women, I want y'all to know you do have a choice. Please don't listen to that. Like, especially it was coming from, a hetero cis, like, Black woman. I was so, like, sickened. I was like, what do you mean she didn't have a choice? Are you crazy? She did have a choice at the end of the day, T.S. Madison, and chose not to go be a doctor, chose not to. And who knows what her situation is? Like, they talk about, people going through hardships. I'm sure she did. But please listen to me now. I hope Black Girl hears this. You always have a choice. Do not think sex work is your option for for your life because the cards you've been given suck. The cards I was given sucked. You know, one minute they were great, next minute they were bad. I still choose not to do sex work. Okay? Even when times are tough. So please don't ever listen to that. Number two, yes, the deal whisperer, he was wrong. I believe that he is hurt, of course, and I'm not trying to justify it. But if y'all could give Kanye West empathy, please, like, child, he was wrong. And where he was wrong was sharing videos of what you call it, what's that man Blueface saying this is gay, sharing this video of this man saying this is gay. Yes, we know all these rappers in basketball, NFL, we know they are on the low. Who, like, all right, yes, we know it can be, funny to certain people, whatever, but at the end of the day, is he outing them? No, because they're celebrities and we will never know that it they have such a tight knit of everything. We will never know until they come out, and it just has to be alleged. So what the DL Whisperer was doing was making content that was funny to women, that was, like, oh wow, ha ha, yeah, we don't like him, he don't like women, he don't like black women, ha ha. Yeah, like he was making that content because it grabbed attention. I don't think it started that way. I don't. I don't think it started that way. But his content became like he saw a post online and just would share it and be like, "Did you just see this on Twitter or whatever?" He would play it, stand in front of the thing, and be like, "Yeah, we're gonna out. This is DL behavior." Like it was almost as if he thought he was a doctor when I saw him. I was like, it got to a point where like, okay, you're acting like you're a doctor and you're diagnosing people. Like now you need to chill. Like you can make fun of celebrities all you want, but to act like you know so much, like, pause. Is he educated? Yes. I believe that he does care for women. I just think something happened with trans women that I don't know. I wasn't in the loop. I know people say T.S. Madison, da da da, and he was mad. What she was mad, and he was going back and forth, whatever. But I'm just saying, I don't think it was always like this. And my last thing I want to say before I let my bestie speak, um, is that I am not 100% familiar with everything the DL Whisperer or T.S. Madison has said. But what I do know is T.S. Madison to me doesn't feel like it doesn't. I don't feel the love for cis women when she be talking all types of crazy to us and about us. I don't feel the love at all. Calling us fish, all this, it's too much. It's not funny. Literally, I have PCOS, found out today, and I have to change my diet. I'm losing my hair and my weight is fluctuating. And when I think about how T.S. Madison, even, women like T.S. Madison and Cardi B actually share something similar, even though Cardi B is not trans. The misogyny is so high that it hurts my feelings. They feel like your hair should be long. They feel like you're manly if you don't have long hair. They feel like you need to get a breast and a butt job and you're manly if you don't have those things. They feel all these things, and even if they don't say it out their mouth, they show it by what they're doing with their bodies. And then also, no offense, but how does that leave them? Like that's all I want to say to people that really enjoy Cardi B and T.S. Madison type of women. How does that? Because Cardi B was a stripper too, so you got to understand the things that Cardi B is doing to her body is also a resemblance of trans women. Not all trans women. Remember, I said there's normal. I'm putting in quotes. Normal trans women that are not doing this type of stuff. Like it's because T.S. Madison, she was in that sex environment and decided to do those things. Now, my personal opinion, this is just my personal, y'all can say it's wrong, it's my personal opinion. I feel like I don't really think T.S. Madison would be a transgender woman if she did not do sex work. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when you think about it and you see her earlier pictures of her being a male, I just feel in the sex industry, in that performative industry, you got to set yourself apart. You got to do a lot of stuff. You got to do some nasty stuff. You got to do so many crazy things to be different. And imagine if people find you to be a male and to already even just look feminine in some type of way, then you're like, you know what? I'm just going to push the envelope. And she's been pushing ever since. In my eyes, like she's too much. And I'm not trying to say nothing about plus size girlies. I love plus size girlies. I've been a plus size girly. I would consider myself petite plus size. However, using her plus sizeness to have all of these huge assets and surgeries is not healthy. It's not cute either, and that doesn't make me a woman. I literally talk about on my Lemon 8, follow me, Nature Girl Beauty blog. I talk about how I haven't been feeling like a woman lately in my life because my derriere is not the size of the moon. My hips aren't huge, and my breasts aren't huge and full, and I'm not like over my size. You get what I mean? T.S. Madison, no shade once again. She's over her size in a way of it's seen as feminine, right? Versus other trans women who don't look like her size, they're not seen as feminine, and I don't like that because femininity is not based in that. That's why I compared T.S. Madison to Cardi B, because that's what Cardi B has done. And now Cardi B want to talk about I'm taking this out, I'm taking this out. Like, okay, yeah, but you was out here with Stefan Diggs, let's say alleged, even though we know, a DL man. She was with one too. So that's why I'm comparing Cardi B and T.S. Madison because they're from the same, I'm gonna say gutter. I'm not even trying to say anything mean. They are from the same gutter. The sex life. That's not fun. The things you got to do, how much you got to push, how much you got to put in your derriere because you're trying to make some more money. The fights that you have to have with women. Oh, it's not cute. You will be fighting women your entire life if that's the route you go. You will be fighting diseases even if that's the route you go. Not saying they have any, who knows, but I'm just saying you will be fighting. So please don't sit up here and take one video from Nene Leakes, which I didn't even watch, but maybe I should so I could, because I'm gonna do deep dives on this convo. I find it interesting because the psyche I'm seeing is kind of crazy right now from everybody. And it's a little bit interesting, but also scary. But what you call it? Like, sorry, I have to slow down speaking and pay attention a little bit. But it's just the fact that I don't want black women fighting trans women and trans women fighting black women. Y'all don't have to be kumbaya, but stop fighting also with misinformation and not listening to what someone's saying out of their mouth. My last thing too, I want to say for because this is the main thing I wanted to talk about, my bestie. What I've been feeling that's crappy is that I don't know what is it that trans women want from me as a woman. Because when you're telling me to dislike the DL Whisperer and that what he's saying is a lie, which not everything he's saying is a lie, um, what is it you want? Do you want me to have intercourse with a DL man? Like, what is it? I'm talk in a minute. That's my biggest issue. What is the outcome? Because that's not nice. That is nasty work. Why do you want to sleep with DL men? Why? Like, what is wrong with you? And I talked about it in a post saying that I know so many men, I know a lot of gay men that their first interactions, which it took me, I had to learn that. I didn't know, like, I was very, very innocent to this. Their first interaction with a gay guy at the age of like 17 being a gay male and say they're out and somehow it gives feminine because they're just young, which is even sad. It's gross that that's like pedo behavior from men. They they experience an old nasty guy that's married. Literally, Euphoria shows this. Euphoria legit shows this to a T of how this happens to trans women and what happens to trans women by DL married old nasty men. And for me, it's giving like a lot of these trans girlies are just like, I'm gonna make my money and I don't care what you have to say. He loves me. I don't care. He doesn't like you. He likes me. He likes me because I'm the real feminine, just like you. And it's like, okay, no, that's where the fighting is happening. You feel that closeted, no, let's say that DL man is having intercourse with you because you're just of a woman as a woman. And that is not true. Because most of the time, majority that guy doesn't even like the woman. And that is why DV is happening because he doesn't like them. Like, are you going to be nice to someone that you don't like, but you have to stick around them because society is saying you have to? I'm not saying the DV is right. I'm saying this is where the anger and the pow pow is coming from. That's where it's coming from. They don't want to have sex with a woman, but they are because of, yes, society is telling them if you don't, you're a terrible person. We're taking these opportunities away from you, whatever, judgment, Christianity, all this crap. But don't blame cis women for that. And what you're saying to a cis woman, trans women, I'm gonna say this right now, you're saying I have to include DL men into my roster And that's it. I'm just gonna land it there. That's what you're saying. I need to have intercourse with DL men, and if I don't, I'm homophobic and transphobic. Makes no sense. And I'm gonna let you take off from there.
Yeah, I have a few things to say. I was trying to remember because I wanted to interject, but I didn't want to cut you off. I'll talk about your last point in a second. But as far as it goes for like Tia's Madison and whether we think like I can't get in her head and say whether or not she's a trans woman or not. I don't think it matters at this point, but I do think that she would not have probably gone as far with her surgery if she wasn't in sex work. Because I think that's usually the case for most people. And if anybody wants a really good trans resource that's like very well educated, look up Kat Black because she's really smart. She's very educated. She talks about T.S. Madison from a trans woman's point of view and a lot of the things that she has to say, especially about passing and what it means to be feminine. And her experience not getting surgery and still being perceived as feminine. So it's like it's a whole thing. And I think it's important to hear viewpoints from other people because I don't think it's right to tell trans women that you should just get surgery to be perceived a type of way. And Kat Black makes a really good statement about how a lot of trans women who hold on to misogyny from their pre-transition, basically, they hold on to misogyny and the male gaze so hard because they want to feel validated because the people in society, sadly, who shouldn't be dictating femininity, but who do dictate femininity are men. So, like, you think that you need to do things like have breasts or have an ass or have a certain figure or a certain face shape or something to make yourself feminine when that's not the case because women look different everywhere. I get compared to a trans woman all the time. Does it offend me? No. But I get compared to a trans woman because I don't have assets at all. Like I don't have breasts, I don't have an ass. Like I'm pretty androgynous and I get compared to trans women all the time. People ask me, so it's like I think it's just this interesting thing, like, nobody should be dictating whether you're trans or you're not, like, and make you feel bad. Like, I just hate the idea that T.S. Madison says that it makes her feel bad. Like, or people are making you other trans women are making you look bad because 'cause they're not conforming to your idea of male gaze that makes you feel validated as a trans woman. And I think, though, that there is such a pressure when it comes to, what is femininity or what is feminine, because cis women feel that all the time. We are constantly judged and scrutinized by men, on what is feminine, what is not. And that has to do with a lot of racial stereotypes. It has to do with just misogyny, European, Eurocentric beauty standards, all this shit that is unreal, honestly, and just not authentic. But however, we all have to deal with it, whether you're cis or trans. And I think that's the problem is that people need to understand, like you said, like we should not be fighting each other. Like we should not be supporting DL men for the simple fact that the DL men and all this homophobia, transphobia, everything comes from misogyny. Because if you weren't afraid of being being seen as feminine as a man, or even of gay people or of trans people, like at the end of the day, everything has one thing in common: femininity and women. Like men are so afraid of women or being perceived as like, having emotions like a woman, having being perceived as feminine like a woman. They're so afraid of us that it makes them so misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic, and DL. Like DL men are because of misogyny at the end of the day. It's not because of trans women, and it's not because of us, and it's not because of gay men, you know? And I think people really need to understand that before having these discussions about who's right and who's wrong and blah blah blah. Like people really need to unpack that because at the end of the day we have a common threat, literally a common threat to our lives is misogyny. Unalives people. It does, because a lot of these men are very violent, and it's not a coincidence that they hurt both of us because of femininity, because of their fear of women. um and also another thing that I was going to say, your last point was about, sorry, I'm trying to remember. About like
Or
what
what
is
did
the
they
end
want? Like,
goal
what did
for
they
what is the
want?
end goal?
And
Yeah.
can you
What
say
is
it
the
from a
end goal?
perspective of like the crazy in their mind? Like not all trans women are crazy. I'm saying, can you say it from the perspective of when I say what is it you want? I
Mhm.
want you to tell me first, what is it that bad examples of trans women want? Like, tell me that, and then tell me like what it should be wanted though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking
You know how
about.
something doesn't make sense? Like, if you want me to do this, you know how that sounds crazy? That's what I'm saying. I want
Mhm.
to hear it.
So in my perception, I feel that like women, like trans women like T.S. Madison, like what they want is to feel validated over everything and feel validated by the male gaze. Um, because unfortunately that's usually what dictates even having, woman on your license or female on your license. Like you usually have to get surgery. You used to usually have to do certain things or be on hormones or something like that to be considered even trans, which is stupid, first of all. But anyways, I digress. I think that women like that, trans women like that, and also cis women as well. Like there's certain people who they remind me of pick me's. Like they are pick me's. They want to feel validated by usually hyper masculine men, and sadly, a lot of DL men are very hyper masculine for the fact that they are afraid of women. They're afraid of misogyny, or they're misogynistic, and they're afraid of femininity. So they're very hyper masculine. They're afraid of appearing, any bit of feminine, which I think is why there's a lot of DL men in sports, or like in like masculine trades, or like who have like a nuclear family or things like that. Like they want to be considered like the peak of masculinity for fear of being found out, for maybe being queer, whatever. Um, and so I feel like, there's this whole thing of like they want to feel picked. They want to feel picked. They want to feel validated. And when cis women tell them, no, I don't enjoy that this man is like pretending to be straight and he's actually gay because he's into you, it almost makes them feel like they're not a woman. It makes them feel like they're othered. It's like, oh, but this person is he's into you too, so like, he's just into me. It doesn't matter if he's not really DL. He's just, he just likes me, blah blah blah. Like, it there this isn't a competition. I feel like it's sad that womanhood has become a competition, and that's between cis people and between cis and trans people. Like womanhood has become such a competition in that we are all fighting for male validation in how we look, how we dress, how we act in real life. If we have an OF, if we, are a stripper, we do whatever. um it's all a competition for who, at the end of the day. And I feel like that's why there's very similar, a lot of similarities between anybody who does sex work, because of the fact that it's an industry that is based off of male validation and male gaze, and that's what it makes its money from. And I think a lot of people have a really hard time separating their own personality from that being work. And I think it messes you up in the head. Like that's why I think T.S. Madison and D.L. Whisper need a therapy, because it's like both of you have a perception of what life is that's been affected by your own personal traumas, and that you project onto other people, and you think that they're not enough for who they are because of this. Like they're very similar in certain ways. It's kind of ironic that they're fighting, because I feel like they're similar in certain ways. It's just that, you know, trans women can still be male centered in the same way that even gay men could be very male centered. And gay men, just like trans women, can be misogynistic because they've grown up with the male gaze. Even being a part of themselves, they've grown up with that gaze. So, and Kat Black says a really good thing about how a lot of trans women who grow up with that misogyny internalized in themselves are striving to look like or to be things that a lot of cis women are trying to move against, because we are trying to get away from stereotypes about femininity. Whether that has to do with like maybe your body hair, or like having big boobs, or having a big butt, or needing surgery, or needing a breast job, or whatever the case is. Like we deal with the same things, or wearing makeup even. Like we deal with those same stereotypes, but a lot of trans women, they grow up with the idea of, if I start doing those things that people say are feminine, then people will finally look at me like how I feel internally. So, they start kind of conflating those two with femininity, and that is not cis women's experience with femininity, you know? It's just something that's kind of placed on top of us that we're supposed to follow, and if we don't follow, we're also not considered that feminine because of that stereotype. But obviously, it doesn't take away who you are as a woman, and that's the point. Like, if you're a trans woman, it shouldn't take away from the fact that you are just a trans woman, regardless of how you look or how you're perceived. And the thing is, like, I don't give a fuck about anybody getting surgery. Don't don't make people feel like they need to just because you did. You know, that's the issue. And T.S. Madison does that. She makes people feel bad, trans women and women as well, feel bad for not getting surgery to appear quote unquote more feminine. Because what does that mean? What does that mean? I get called trans all the time because I what? I don't have assets that a woman, quote unquote, should have. Like, I think as well, it's just a very weird idea that is misogynistic. And I think that people need to understand that a lot of gay people and trans people can be misogynistic because there is misogyny in the gay community regardless. Even in lesbian like relationships, there's misogyny or ideas of like, issues with femininity because some people think it's weird to have like
Yes, I
femme
got
for
called
femme.
butch, even though
Some
I
people,
love your friend though, even though she called me
yeah,
butch, remember that? Like, I was
because
so
there's
taken
there's a
aback.
lot of unfortunate like racial stereotypes and also issues with like if you're upfront as a personality you're considered more mask or you're considered like it's so stupid. Like people's femininity is always critiqued no matter what you do, unfortunately, and I think that's the thing is like T.S. Madison needs to understand. She needs to stop feeling critiqued. She needs to stop caring about what the fuck people think about her femininity, because at the end of the day, like, really, who cares? Like, you're thinking about what men think about you or if you pass or blah blah blah, however you want us to know that you're trans. So it's like we already know, like, we don't care about that. So the problem is, like, I think that there's a deep insecurity with people who care so much, but they don't want to say that they care. But I'm like, you care enough to think that women who don't get surgery, like trans women who don't get surgery, are not trying. Like, what kind of logic is that? Just because somebody could feel happy in the way that they look, like you want to force them to feel like they need extra hormones and they need to get surgery just to feel trans, because trans itself is not surgery and it's not hormonal. Like, it's just not. And it's the same thing as being a woman. Like, there's women who have different like higher testosterone levels and blah blah blah. It doesn't mean they're a man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think it's so stupid. Like,
I get it.
it's so dumb. It's so dumb. And I think that idea is very misogynistic and it's harmful. And that's why a lot of people, sadly, though, on the other side, want to be transphobic towards her. And I don't think that's accurate. It's not right. Like, we shouldn't be automatically transphobic just because we're upset about the things that she said. I think two things can be true at once, and you can hold T.S. Madison accountable without being like transphobic and disrespectful, because a lot of trans people aren't like that, and most trans people don't have access to get the surgeries that she has. So it's just it's a big mess to me. It's a big mess. At the end of the day, I'm gonna mute myself now. I don't know what else to say.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay. Is the camera on? Mine's is on.
yeah, it's on. Mine is off.
No, keep it on. It's fine. I just was like, I'll be unpacking and it'll be cool to have a conversation. But I like what you said. Like, we shouldn't be against each other, and why you feel that T.S. Madison is thinking this way. It's just that I feel like you didn't answer one thing. I just want to know from these outrageous comments, like, so I want to say that, like, you're very level headed and all that, but I feel so personal about it. I don't like it. I have that hood in me too. Like, I don't like what you're saying about me as a woman. I don't like recently there was a gay coworker I had two that are very toxic, and they reminded me of a gay male that I went to school with in college and did what the DL Whisperer did, what you're accusing him being so terrible, stalking, harassing, whatever. Like, literally, I had a gay male literally stalk me. I had him, report me for things. I had him kick me out of my job. A gay man did this to me, and I have a bias because of my experiences with gay men. I will openly say that, like, as much as I love all people, I'm not gonna, what I'm trying to say is that I don't feel right loving you after what you did to me. And not all gay men did this to me, but it's a big group of them. It's a big group, and we kind of just pass it like, hee hee, it's so funny. Like, he's gay. So, he's so funny. Like, he's fun. No, I think there's an issue with the trans and gay community where it's like to be considered, trans or gay, there is a certain way of femininity you have to be. You have to be like, girl, oh my God, yeah, girl, period, girl, oh my God. Like, no, no, you don't have to be like that. One, but then two, being like that does not make you a woman. That's my issue. Because I don't do that. I don't do all that, like, period. I gotta ring my man, period. I don't stick my back out like this. And no, like, relax. You don't have to do all that to be trans or gay. If you want to, sure. But this is what I mean. Like, there's an issue there. Like, in the comments, it's those type of females that have an issue with women just saying, I don't want to sleep with a man that sleeps with a man and is using me and being a beard and a lavender marriage. I don't want to do it because women are talking about what experience they had, the DV, stuff like that. Like, that's what I feel I'm very conflicted and annoyed about. And personally, obviously, I have a bias because I've dealt with things. I'm like, okay, enough is enough. I'm for literally equity and inclusion, diversity. I'm for it all. But one thing I won't do is just because I'm for it all, meaning that I'm not going to think logically about what you just did. I'm not homophobic and I'm not transphobic. I'm just not siding with misogyny in the gay community or trans. I'm not. I'm just not siding with it. So then people want to say that you're transphobic and homophobic, and that irritates me because I've had men. I have an issue, a big issue with gay men telling me how to dress. Your girl's a fashionista. I got compliments today. Your girl's a fashionista, okay? I'm a fashionista for one, and I love fashion and I know fashion. And I was in a fashion club and I got kicked out by this gay black guy. And basically, he made rumors in the club saying that I made people feel uncomfortable, that I did something bad. And he just blindsided me and I was kicked out. There was no legislation. There was nothing. Like, it felt like my world crumbled. Fashion was my world. And moral of the story is that he was so jealous of me because he couldn't tell me what to do. It made him do cynical stuff, and which stalking me, it made the whole group stalk me online, harass me. This is a gay black man, probably 20 years old, made a group of women, made a group of Latin and black women, mainly Latin from the Bronx, harass me, tell me I'm a terrible person just because I said no to him dressing me. I knew what I wanted. I know what I like. I'm confident. I'm bad. I'm beautiful. And he could not control me. What this gay man would do was control how people dressed or felt about themselves. And if he couldn't do it, it felt like a mama thing. That's what I've noticed too. Like, some gay black men do this thing of being a mama. Like, I'm gonna
Wait, I
tell you
have
how to
something to
dress.
say
I
about
know this.
this.
I know that. Mama knows. I know this. I know that. I know how to do this. A woman needs to pull her hair up. I love that you love helping women or you love women feeling like a woman, but there is a certain way to do it because I do enjoy people like LaRoche. I do enjoy LaRoche. LaRoche could be some toxic sometimes, but I do enjoy LaRoche and I do enjoy Miss J. Miss J could be toxic sometimes. Those are just two examples of fashion, black gay males, where I see them enjoying women feeling their womanliness, not like a woman, their womanliness. Because when Zaya is dressed up, I'm gonna be honest with you, Zendaya can give tomboy, Zendaya can give girly girl, and it is still her being a woman and him respecting that. Even LaRoche, you rarely see LaRoche coming around in a dress. LaRoche has his own, he says it like archetype. It's really cool. Like, I love it. I love it. Doing your own thing. LaRoche is not sitting around here, having to wear, booty shorts and this and that, and that's the femininity. No. And I'm not saying you can't do that, but I'm just saying when it comes to fashion and knowing women and womanhood, you can't come at it in one type of way. And neither does Miss J. Miss J was a little toxic sometimes, but Miss J was all about just walking, being fun, being creative. Like, it was fun. It was
But
cool. Yes, it was a toxic show. Wait,
I
let me
have a
finish.
thing.
Yes, it was a toxic show, but I think that every woman had a different walk and no one really, he did not care for you walking the same. Even on the runway shows that I watch, when you come up there and you have a different type of walk, whether you're trans or plus size, cis, whatever, if you have a different, unique walk, they catch on that rather than your gender. they catch on that. Like, are you being you? Like, you know what I mean? So that's what I was saying by, like, when it comes to the creative directors, I don't really see them, one, in this mess because that's embarrassing for their for, their stuff. But two, they're not really, they're brushing off T.S. Madison like she's a joke. And if I'm gonna be honest, if you're with Tyler Perry, you are somewhat of a joke. But yeah, that's how I feel. I feel personally attacked because I'm black in the black community, and I see the way gay or brown, like, men are coming at me, like, even at work and stuff, even in that fashion club. Like, she too confident. I don't like her. I'm gonna tear her down. I'm gonna tear her down, but I'm gonna act like I'm her friend. And that's what's happened with gay men in my life, and it's triggering.
I have something to say about
Crazy.
that, about like the whole wanting to dress women up and feeling like you have to kind of be in the role of like, because that is like a stereotype for gay men, that you're like the gay best friend who's like a stylist, that's fashionable, blah blah blah. Things people just say about gay people. But I'm like, have you ever met a gay person? Sometimes they are the most unfashionable people ever. But anyways, in a loving way, of course. But like I watched this video the other day. I forget who it was, and I'm pretty sure it was like this gay guy, but I forget who it was. I forget his name, and I can't remember if he was a director or like a fashion designer or something. But somebody asked him about muses. Like they were asking if these two models that I guess maybe he used in a movie or something were his muses, and he was like, I hate the word muse because um it makes you feel like you can control them or like there's some kind of object. And it was like a really good point. He said a lot, but like that was the gist of what he was saying. And I think a lot of gay men and trans women, of course, like women, let me say women, and especially black women, are the muses of culture, the muses of femininity. So like, to the gay community, to the queer community as a whole. Because a lot of the things that we do, especially in ballroom culture and everything, are based off of women and especially black women. So and black culture. So like it's kind of like this thing of like if you can't appreciate fully cis women for the muse that they are to you, then it's kind of like you want to control them because you think that you have an insecurity thinking that somebody is better than you. When that's not really it. Like I don't think that's it. Like something doesn't have to be better than you to be an inspiration for you, you know? And I think that's part of the reason why T.S. Madison likes to go head to head so much with people, and especially women, because she does not feel secure in her identity as a woman. And I understand that it's something you constantly have to feel validated for. As a trans woman, you're constantly told you're not enough, you're scrutinized. Um, but it's the same thing with being a woman as well, like being a cis woman, you know? And I think that's really the biggest issue is a lot of gay men and trans women feel like, women are their inspiration, their muses, but it's like it becomes a point where, they start flipping the narrative on its head and thinking that they can control what femininity means because they have to kind of seek it. They're not like allowed to just be themselves. Like they're not allowed to just be themselves. And I think that they need to start realizing we're all on the same side of like this fight against, something that shouldn't even be a fight, but like the fight for just being able to be freely yourself without the guise of misogyny, like constantly hanging over your head, like which is the sad part, because like people talk about this whole gender war issue, race war issue that's become such a distraction to everything else that's happening right now, which this is, sadly, it is a distraction. Doesn't mean it's an important conversation that we shouldn't have or anything like that, because we should be having it. But it is, like, it's such a distraction because we're all literally complaining about the same issue. Like, we're complaining about misogyny in a nutshell, but we're not doing anything about it other than complaining at each other and blaming each other. And that's like my biggest problem because I'm just like, it's stupid. But to your point that you said I didn't answer, whatever. Um, well, I was trying to answer it in the way that it's just like, I don't think that there is a solution that they want at this point. It's more so just to make them feel validated. Like they don't want to feel wrong about how they feel about DL men, because if they did, then they would have to take accountability for the damage that it does to the queer community. You know, and I think that's really what it is. I think it's more about taking no accountability for what they promote versus like wanting women to do something, because I don't think that there's anything you could force a woman to do other than just tell you you're not wrong. Like that's kind of what they want. They just don't want to be told that they're wrong. They don't want to be held accountable like people like T.S. Madison. And I think that she's kind of found herself weirdly in this position where has become like a voice for the queer community for some reason, just because she has a podcast. Podcasts are crazy.
It was Nene Leakes. That's what people are telling me. I saw a little bit of that interview, but I remember it was not just Nene Leakes. Like, and Nene Leakes
Well,
ain't
I
the
think that was
catalyst to
recent
everything.
though.
But what I'm saying is like, I feel like people don't understand when things are a joke at
Mhm.
all. And that interview was a joke. That interview wasn't trying to. You think Nene Leakes cares? What Nene Leakes asked was, "Why do you like, messing with DL men or something?" I don't even know the
Mhm.
answer. I don't care. I think it's a dumb answer. But I'm just saying, like, just think about that. Like, it's Nene Leakes. Like, she's for the hetero cis women. Yes, like I feel like in these environments we are around gay men and we are around LGBTQ plus because it's seen as cool, and I will say yes, the blueprint trans women and a lot of the things that they did, but don't discredit what cis women did in the same aspect, one. And two, realize when you are a joke to somebody. To Nene Leakes, that interview wasn't, oh yes, I'm enlightening everyone about the trans community. You think that would, you really think, you think she would you have, if you're trying to have a lecture on the transgender women, Black women, why in the hell would you bring out a comedian, a sex worker, somebody who works with Tyler Perry, an actor, a D-list actor at that, and someone who has definitely fraud going on for them?
Get
So
views.
much going on in the court right now with that individual. Someone who's a commentator. I don't think commentators, not, I would say not all, I was saying, let me say a majority of commentators. Like we all just speaking. You're teaching me things, I'm learning things, but also there's some things I do now. But when it comes to media, a lot of people do love when you show facts, when you show proof. You could show misproof, you could show wrong facts, and you're still gonna take it. So who cares? Like it's a gullible audience out here. That's why I feel like I do so poorly because everyone is so gullible. Like, and I'm not trying to be fake with them. I'm not being fake. But that's another conversation. She could have picked anybody. Same way with Andy when Andy Cohen on Real Housewives of Potomac when that colorism issue came up, and he did not pick somebody that was appropriate to talk about it. He picked somebody that was neutral, media friendly, and that was it. Like that was not the person we needed. We needed someone who was going to stand on business and clock Giselle. But at the end of the day, he's protecting somebody. So once again, I'm just trying to say this is media training at its best. This is media. This is not about woo whoop de doo trans women. We're trying to fight for them. No, they're not. They could care less. They just know there's an audience out there that feels hurt and has been through things. And I feel that T.S. Madison definitely knows the DL Whisperer has been through it. He talks about it. He talks about what happened to him as a kid and all the things. And I'm gonna just say him being touched by his brother and his brother's in jail. Like the history, and also he is younger. I don't care if people are like, why you empathizing? I don't care. I do empathize because I think that let's not focus on the DL Whisperer because I don't always focus on T.S. Madison. I actually want to focus on the DL Whisperer for 1 second. I'm gonna say something that I had an interaction with him online and I didn't really like it and unfollowed him, but then followed him back. So I was like, okay, he made a point about something. But basically, yeah, he's wrong. The DL Whisperer is so wrong in doing the comics, the nails, and who am I going to get today? Like that has become a persona. I don't think it started like that, but it's become a persona because people like it. It's rage bait, it's clickbait, it's showing all these alleged, but we know DL rappers, like Blueface, all of them doing all these quote unquote fruity things, as my bestie talked about, saying that those shouldn't be seen as bad, but because those specific DL men are doing terrible things, being feminine is seen as bad, because they're just bad people. But that's on the conversation. I'm just saying, like, he became this persona standing in front of this portrait or saying, I'm going to beat her up too. She want to be like, it was funny. I'm not saying it was funny for me. I'm just saying it was funny for a lot of people because this was internet beef now. And it made him very, very famous. It made him super, super famous. However, I feel like he does need mental health. I do feel like he needs therapy, and I do feel that he needs to consider trans women as women. That is where he's wrong. I will admit that. That is wrong of him. I don't know how this beef started. I don't really care either. This is what it is now. That is wrong of him. And one interaction I had with him that I didn't like online, which really wasn't, it was him not interacting with me. I'm like, you know who I am. It's my personal account, but you still know who I am. You know my face, and you know my subscriber count on YouTube, and you didn't pay attention to it. So I know he knows that he doesn't like me. I don't think he does. So once again, I'm not saying he doesn't like me, like he knows me, but I don't think that he likes somebody who kind of can clock him, and that can deal with him being a gay man as well. I told you I've had an issue where I can clock a gay guy and they're upset at me. It is what it is. Don't care. But that's another conversation. So there was a thing that happened. La la la, girl, la la la. Didn't really know her, but I saw her on TikTok, and she was unalived by her boyfriend. Her boyfriend looks like, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing, he looked like he was a DL basketball player. I've come in contact with so many of them, not slept with them, but trust me, they be in my DMs just like any other NFL basketball player. They got issues. They got real issues. And a lot of women play along with it for money or to feel like they have a boyfriend. It's not right. And the deal whisperer does talk about those things. Now, Girl La 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 was unalived by her boyfriend, right? He is giving DL by the deal whisperer standards and everyone else's standards. We've figured it out, right? So with that being said, you have a situation where someone was unalived by a DL man, and I was like, why is he not covering? This is when I first figured him out, and I really liked him. I was like, why are you not covering this? Like you could see the way his content literally changes when he just grows a fandom of women that like him and support him, but now it's like you're taking the attention from the internet that is bad because it gives you more views. I know how that feels. Trust me, I almost went down that route. I know how that feels. I get it. So now it's like, your educational speeches don't really get to people, but you putting a picture of Blueface up, oh, that'll get the attention. That'll get our attention. So you see that happening. And with that being said, I noticed he wasn't talking about Girl La La La, and I was like, why are you not talking about Girl La La? You talk about women being, DV'd and unalived by DL men. Why are you not talking about it? Once again, I wasn't too in depth with him at this point. I just thought it was a friendly thing. I was like, oh, you should cover this story too. And then basically, because he interacts with everybody, and he didn't interact with me. He didn't, and I was like, okay. And then you had a black girl come to his defense and go, why would he talk about Girl La La La? She's not a woman. And I was like, what? And I'm sitting there reading the comment, and I'm like, this is public. She said that to me. This is on his page. He's seen it. He replied to everybody's comment. Why didn't he reply to me? The comments he replied to, which was almost all of them, were the ones where like, yeah, I know, da 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 da, yes, sis, like this happened, da 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 da. Like he replied, or to humor where people are making fun of something. But all I asked was, why didn't you cover the story? And he didn't answer. He did not answer, but another woman did, a black woman, and said, that's not a woman. So why would he cover it? That's not okay. That's not okay at all. That is dangerous. I feel that is more dangerous than everyone being mad that, DL men, he's trying to out DL men. Who cares? That right there is dangerous. I'm not okay with that. And nobody even talks about that. I'm like, you need to talk about that more so. If you're not understanding, because like I said, I didn't understand it. I was like, why are you not talking about this? And I didn't even care that she was a trans woman either. I just saw a DL person unaliving somebody. You could even be like a gay man, and if you get unalived, I'm still gonna think that it means just as much to society and says something regardless. Like I'm like, it means the same thing. Like this is DL men are terrible. That's awful what that person did and the violence that they have. But you DL whisperer only want to care about the violence towards biological women. That's an issue. I love that you care about biologically born women. That's great. But whatever happened, I don't know. Once again, I can't even say because I don't know too much. I'm like, I'm not too into I don't stalk people. I don't do all that as in go on look at every I don't care. But I feel like it's more so the fact that let's bring up stalking. It's been put out there that he has stalking charges from the past. He's also posting things from the past. I saw him. He was posting like altercations that he was getting in with DL men and this and that. And you could tell he was a little unhinged and it was not little, he was unhinged and it was personal. Like he would give a story, talk about things, give women advice. It became call this hotline. And I think he should have stuck with that. Call this hotline and let's figure out if your man's that's fine. Wrong with that. That's fine. But what's wrong is you started using celebrity fandom as comedy and comic relief and putting stuff out there and being salacious. But then on top of that, you also, had a beef with trans women. Once again, I don't know what happened, but that was a big part. And I said to my bestie, I said, the legal issue I have with him is that, like I said, I'm okay with you, call this hotline, let's figure it out. Okay. But the problem is he's not legally doing these things. He is not a private investigator. He's not. He could be good at finding everything and anything. I've had people literally do terrible things to me, get me fired from a job, things that, yeah, you can find anything. I've had that happen. But at the end of the day, it's more so of legally, he's not right for that. And I will agree with that. That's not right. He's getting stalking charges because he's trying to be a private investigator, for God's sake. Like, of course, you're going to get stalking charges. Do I think they're, terrible, as in he's really trying to harm anybody? No. I think that he just got real
He's
beef with
young and
T.S.
dumb.
Madison. And I think that I think he has real beef with T.S. Madison, and they both want to fight. They both want to fight, but however, with T.S. Madison, I think that she is using her celebrity, her money, all that, pressing charges, doing all these things because she's looking up him as well. You have to understand these people. I'm gonna say T.S. Madison and Deal Whisperer because I know gay men like this, and not saying T.S. Madison's a man. I'm just saying I know people like this more so. T.S. Madison, I guess, let's say trans women. I think I don't come across too many like her, but I'm saying I know the community, and they be doing stuff out of their own protection. They're not dumb. They be looking things up. They know how to do this. I'm trying to tell you, I was new to this. I didn't know that there's people that are literally like they go deep into the web and get their vendettas out. I didn't know that. But in this community, there are people who do that. And I think both of them are capable of doing it. And she is too, because she got money. Driving to her house was wrong. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, boy, why'd you do that? Like, come on. But you have to understand also, don't act like they both not hood. They both was given the same hood energy. All the other girlies I saw online when they would say, you know what, I'm gonna do to that man. I'm gonna beat him. I'm gonna do it. I saw the TikToks of the trans women that he was, talking about disrespectfully, but he was talking about them, unfortunately. And they were saying that they were going to unalive him, the things that they were going to do to him. It is a common thing in the trans and gay community for men to feel it's okay for them to fight. And same for trans women. It is a cultural sad thing where, as say in the Black and brown community, where fighting is seen as okay when it comes to gay men. I've literally had a man that I was talking to a while ago tell me, "Oh, my friend is gay and he's just fighting with his nigga or whatever. It's normal." And I was like, "What do you mean that's normal? That hood gay? Yeah, that's normal. They just duke it out." So with La La La, who is a trans woman, her entire page shows the history of her having to fight, boop, 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 with her boyfriend and it being normalized. And she would just act like it was a joke. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, like she's acting like it's a joke. Mind you, if it was a female biologically, that wouldn't be a joke. But because she is not a female, biologically, online, I feel like there wasn't much heat. And as in go get her, someone go save her. And now she's not alive. So that's my comment about the deal whisperer.
Yeah. I mean, you said a lot of good stuff, and I agree with that last part, especially because, this is my problem, especially about uh even gay people, but especially let me say queer people and straight people who are, they think they're allies just because they have friends or they follow people who are gay or trans, but then something happens to them and they're so surprised. And I think the violence like that trans women face, especially like black and brown trans women, is not surprising, sadly. Like, it's sadly not surprising as much as it isn't surprising how many women go through violence. Like, how many cis women go through violence in relationships. And I think that it's really messed up that DV is almost like so commonplace in queer relationships, like especially even like lesbian relationships. DV is very, very common. And straight people might use that as a talking point to be like, this is why it's wrong. But then they be hitting their wives. So but like it's just kind of like it's very tragic, like because the community is so it's close knit and we've kind of especially for trans women, they feel like they don't get anything better than somebody who is a violent DL man. Like it's almost like you're trained to expect, and for gay men as well, like they're trained to expect that this is all they get. And it goes into the same stereotype as being a sex worker as a trans person or even a gay man. Like it goes into the stereotype because it's kind of like, a lot of people back in the day were kicked out of their homes at very young ages, at like 14, 15, maybe even younger. And they were on the streets. And the only thing for them something that seemed like the only option for them to do was sex work because people are predatory. People are very awful.
Can I say
And
something? Do you think
yeah.
Euphoria is an
Mhm.
example of what we're talking about with the violence
Yeah, very
against
much
women?
so.
Because we know you don't remember what happened?
No, I said very much so.
Yeah, I'm literally thinking about what the dad did
Mhm.
to what's her name? Why am I
Jules,
forgetting it?
Jules.
Jules, and then the son did
Yep.
to the girl. He R'd her. That wasn't cute. That was not sex. That was R. He did that to her, but then remember the
Mhm.
clips of where Jules was popping up.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to compare that. What do you think of that? Like I'm thinking about that comparison as in this women are experiencing violence and this
Mhm.
man truly wants to just be with that person, whether they're trans or gay, who
Yeah.
that story is kind of crazy, but I'm just saying Euphoria is just reminding me of that. What do you think?
Yes, and I think that people don't understand, like I think a lot of people don't understand why DL men are the way they are. And people need to understand that this is a trauma response. Like to be violent, like, like that's why I said a lot of these men tend to be hyper masculine presenting because they are so afraid of being perceived as feminine, maybe because they find trans women attractive, which doesn't even necessarily make you a homosexual. Like that's my issue as well. Like they're so afraid of this like misogyny being hurled towards them because men see what misogyny does to women. They see how awful it is and they participate in it as well. So like why would they want to experience what we experience? That's what misogyny is and why a lot of it's perpetuated in men. And why they're so afraid of femininity and being seen as feminine because you could have gotten killed for that, and people still do get, unalived for that. Like, even nowadays, for being feminine or seen as feminine as a man, um, especially like outside of the U.S. And so, like, for like someone like that, like, oftentimes that violence is perpetuated towards cis women because it's like you have an anger, like men like that have an anger towards them because they cannot be like just attracted to them. Like even if they are, they can't just be attracted to them, and it's something that makes them so angry and violent. And that's why a lot of people, unalive people or why people end up becoming like serial unalivers. They have a vendetta against themselves that they project onto cis women and to trans women. Like that's why trans women as well get unalive because they are so mad that they are attracted to them. It's very sad and awful, and that's why I say like they are the common enemy of us all. But misogyny is the common enemy of us all. Like, a DL man could eventually go to freaking therapy and get help. And that's something that could happen, but it often doesn't because of the fact that misogyny is such a big thing for men and for women. Like misogyny affects everybody, you
I
know?
agree. Can I touch on something?
Yeah, sure.
I feel like, excuse me, my throat. I need some water. Hold on, let me grab some water real quick. I'm standing in my kitchen, which I'm happy about. um, oh, let me grab water and I'm gonna try this. Well, a lot of different things. Um, I can see how basically what you're saying, I agree with 100%. I want to touch on the misogyny part and get into a racial issue because when you were
Yes.
saying these things and the violence against women, and I'm thinking about the men that we see in media, and you know how it always turns into it's about the NFL. I'm about to talk about the NFL and NBA. How I've always been confused and conflicted and saddened by the black men that date everything but black women. But I'm gonna be honest with you, this is my thinking. I think it's true. You don't have to agree with it. You don't. But something that from what you're saying, I think about who they choose to hurt and
Yeah, exactly.
why we keep seeing the same NFL, NBA players choosing to hurt, I'm going to say white women. Why? I personally feel they think that they can do it to them. I think that if you are, let's say, a brother, and you're thinking about who can you act like you're with, but you're not with, and they'll be okay with it. Excuse me, they'll be okay with it. If you're a brother, you know who that race is. It's not us. We do have a lot of community, um, and they will try to fight. They will try to fight, or even if we're not fighting, they will try to fight. When it comes to that particular race, they're not going to fight for their family because it is racially ingrained in this country for those type of women to take it. One thing I want to say too is that you see all these cases of DV amongst those women, and of course, sympathy card out the door. Like because we can't technically say we know what's going on, even though we do. But what I want to say is that I feel there's another thought in a lot of black men's heads that are DL. Because I'll use Stephon Diggs as an example. We have to say alleged, but we know. Um, they feel that if they're gonna hurt anybody, I'm gonna hurt you because of misogyny. Because misogyny benefits you. You are white. You are a preference. You have a BBL. You have all these things. Even I think in a sexual aspect, because of the trans look today, is to be so big, big breast and big butt. Women that do that, you do resemble a trans woman. To be honest, if that's also what they're into. Another aspect, like I said, I think racially, it hurts some brothers to hurt a black woman emotionally, mentally. They probably think of their mothers. I think that's a little, I know it's a little out there, but that's something I'm thinking about because I think about how they're so willy nilly to be so DV with this race, but then tell this other race that you are better than a black woman. I think that that's an issue when it comes to DL, NBA, and NFL players. Now, can we say they are DL? Technically, no. Do we know we know? Yeah, we know because the streets know. But you ever notice how the one who is DL, what race are they with? What race are they with? You can only imagine what the coach is, and because I'm thinking about from Euphoria, that boy's father. You can only imagine what they say for them to hide their gayness. How they're like, you know what? This girl do OF. Just go over there, do something with her, act like you like her, and then behind the scenes, go do what you really want to do. But also, I think Stephon Diggs is so violent, in my opinion. We have to say alleged, but we know he's so violent because of this. Like, how you out here calling all these women preferences, this and that, and you have one girl who had a little tiny, like, a little pop in the brain that said, "Oh nah, I ain't willing to get pregnant though. I don't want to join this," and he lost it. He lost it. He literally lost it, and we have to say alleged, but he, boop 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 boop, all it took was one preference to have a little bit of a black woman up in that little section somewhere here and be like, oh nah, I'm not doing that. You bugging? I don't want to join the circus. Are you crazy? Uh-uh. No, thank you. And you're not giving me my money no more? No, thank you. It took literally like one person to say no to boop 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 boop. Like, whoa, pause pause. So that's how I feel about it when it comes to a racial issue, when it comes to um, DL men and misogyny. And what I've seen too, I travel the world and I've seen a lot of things, and I've seen a lot of black men in southern states. And I've seen them with, YT women or women that are of other ethnicities that literally, like, when I tell you mid, you could be a mid black woman too. So don't come at me saying I'm saying white people mid. No, like Ashley Graham level mid, like mid, bro. When I tell you mid, and I'm like, why he with her? I'm confused. What's going on here, brother? And I see how they move, the man moves, and the vibe that they're giving, and they're giving DL. And I'm like, I don't know how that white women don't know that. How don't you know that? How don't you? There's no way I could see that from a mile away that this man is not straight,
I want
but
to
he's with
interject.
your race. So yeah, you would have, yeah.
Um, I think you have a really good point, and I think when it comes to that, like misogyny will always have a racial element to it, and I don't think that could ever be separated because like beauty standards are racial, like they're racialized, so it doesn't matter. And I think that oftentimes, like you're right, that people who are DL are going to like choose things that are considered by society as quote feminine. And I think that white femininity has been something that has been praised so much, even if it isn't attractive. Like people have praised white femininity or Eurocentric standards so much that it's like something that's automatic to go towards when you're trying to prove a point to somebody. And I do think that it also has to do with like kind having a a racial element towards white men as well, and feeling like an anger towards them because like you want to kind of get back at them and feel like this is something that could make them mad. Like it feels like a power rush probably to be able to pretend that you're this thing, and have like a white woman or somebody that's racially ambiguous next to you, to make people mad. Like it's all about like a dynamic for male ego, I really think.
And wait,
And I
pause.
think
Can
that
I
that
say
has a
one thing
big
before I
thing to
forget
do with it.
forget it? You ever notice, no shade, no shade. We all notice and we've all seen this. It's a little kiki, a little moment. Everybody have this little laugh. You ever run into a black man that you know for certain that he's gay, but then all of a sudden it's revealed to you that he has a white wife, and you're like, what? Huh? What?
I don't want to
There's
say yes,
always
but
that
I feel
black
like I
guy
understand.
where you're like,
Mhm.
thought he was really, usually they look like they buff, they work out, they wear tight shirt, everything's tight, 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 lips is glossed up. You would think eyebrows is done, hair. You would think, and yes, I'm talking about looks, but let's be honest though. We know. You meet this person, you get this vibe, and then you see they have a white wife, and you're like, oh, you're not gay? Oh, okay. Y'all can call me for saying that, but we've had these moments, and I'm just saying it's a pattern. There's an issue when it's
Mhm.
a pattern. I'm not just talking about somebody's looks. I'm talking about literally these men be gay, but they're
And
like, I'm
to
just
that
gonna
point as
have this.
well.
I'm gonna have this white woman that's overweight to just hide
Mhm.
that. And I think that those women, unfortunately, which makes me upset, because I'm like, you should know you're gorgeous. Why are you letting them do that to you?
Mhm. And let me say too, like that's kind of like that thing about how I feel like, in minority communities, there is a lot of homophobia, and there is a lot of like, toxic masculinity. And I feel like certain people don't feel like they can be, with a black woman because they will kind of either let me say clock you or judge you. Um, and whether it's rightfully so, I feel like doesn't always matter, but it's like, let me say, for example, like Tyler the Creator. Like somebody, in my opinion, clocked him, and maybe not in the right way because they were kids. But like, for calling him gay, calling him the F word when he was younger, like that wasn't right. But it made him want to have a preference at that time. And maybe he's grown out of things now, but we see like the damage it does to somebody when they are treated with, homophobia at such a young age. They blame them rather than blame society for treating them that way, which is the problem, I think. And that's why I feel like they turn to like white counterparts because they think like, oh, well, like it's kind of also, I feel like, a problem in the minority community to be like, well, that's some white people shit to be gay and to be feminine and to be this and that, which is unfortunate because that's definitely not true. But like I do think it affects people and how they think, and then they start to kind of be combative about how they go about their relationships in the future with or without realizing it, which I think is wrong because you can't, like, just because you had an experience as a kid doesn't mean you should carry that with you for the rest of your life, and judge every single person that you're going to meet from then on as though they're going to judge you. But I do think it does damage that there is that prevalence in the minority community to be so misogynistic, or like, homophobic, because people don't feel like they can be a nerd with a black person, or they could be this or that. Like, it makes them feel feminine. They feel effeminated, and I feel like that's kind, or emasculated. I mean, and I think that's like, it's stupid. um, but also I've seen like a lot of like black alt couples online nowadays who are both like non-traditional, and I think that it's not something that's for like, it's not happening to everybody, but it is unfortunate that you can't just be like black and alt, or you can't just be like, it has to be like, oh, you're the F word, you're this, you're that, like, like it's so stupid, because often that culture is even created by black people. Like, black people are the blueprint for a lot of alternative culture, if not all, in America. So it's just kind of like, it's kind of a dumb thing that's been perpetuated that people feel so judged for, in my opinion. But yeah.
I just feel like beards and lavender
Mhm.
marriages are a thing. I had to
Mhm.
learn it, but also I had to. I see it. I don't see it in the way that I had to learn it. I know that it's a thing, but down south, in my opinion, from what I've been seeing, and how much I've traveled, I've seen that it is. It's real. It's real. It's real. But what I want to say is that it's disguised as I'm just dating a white woman and I'm having a family. Meanwhile, I see the interaction between these couples, and like, it's awful. It's not real love. It's not real. So it's like people are disguising not only just a lavender marriage, but they're disguising it with racial issues, and having real consequences of this, which are children. And that is one thing I want to talk about with the DL situation. Children are a real consequence of your DL situation you got going on, and it's not deserved. It's not deserved that, oh, daddy comes out later, and like, because I know situation, I know some people where all of a sudden daddy is 40 years old dating this 22-year-old black boy with a big old behind, right? That we see that in New York. All of a sudden, this black boy with a big old dunk is married to this man that has 5 children and was like, it just happens out of nowhere, right? Allegedly. But in reality, I think that that black boy with a dunk know what's up, know the game, know what it is, and they gonna turn it out. They're gonna say, you marrying me or what? Because I ain't doing this. That's what it is. Like, it gets to a point where now the gay men are sick of it. It's not gonna be just, oh, I'm with you on the low. You're gonna marry me, or I'm telling your wife, I'm telling your kid. You don't, like, you need to understand these are situations that are happening. What's your thoughts on that?
It's true. And I think definitely, like, as I said before, and how like the queer community is so fetishized, especially in the past, because like all you could ever be was somebody's fetish, when you had to hide because you might be arrested and killed, or unalive, sorry. And it's just like, I feel like that still is perpetuated today. Like, people have not healed from that trauma, but they want more. Like, everybody wants more from a relationship other than to be considered just sex to somebody. So it's just like, it's very sad that, it's unfortunately the only
But
thing
it's
some.
selfish damage, no? Like, selfish
Well, can I
damage.
finish
You
my
know this person has a
sentence?
family. Okay.
Yes, I know. But that's the problem, is that sometimes gay and trans people, especially, this is all they think that they can get from somebody. And I think it's like there's such a damage as well from like, you know, um being unable to, let me say, like the opposite gender, like, and be considered normal, and fall in love with somebody who is straight, who will never love you back, not because you're not uh attractive or like a good person or something, but it's like that they will never love you back because you are just not. They will never be attracted to you just because of your gender. So it's like a very interesting thing that I think a lot of people don't think that they have a trauma with as a or a queer person, but they do. And I think that, there comes a point where they start to think that all they can get is somebody's married DL husband, is somebody's, married DL wife, even, like, is somebody's, closeted son that they grew up together with, or something like that. Like, it's sad, and I think it's the same way as in, like, certain pygmy women think, like, how, let me compare it to like heterosexual relationships. Certain pygmy women think that they can change a man, you know it's the same thing. Like, I think that they hold out a hope that somebody will love them enough to change, which will never happen. It just won't. And I just think all people need
Oh,
to know that, it's a very sad it's a very sad thing, but it is damaging. It's damaging to yourself and it's damaging to other people because it's not just being DL for that one individual. It is cheating. It is damaging. Like you said, if people have children, which they often do, they are very affected by that. Like, I think Euphoria is a very dramatic show. Obviously, it has its problems, but I do think that it shows how much damage that can do to somebody because we are like our parents, whether we like it or not. And a lot of people have a trauma from, maybe having a hyper masculine dad that they don't understand and they can never get close to because that parent will never let that happen because they are hiding something from them. And kids can feel that. And they might grow up with a very big resentment that they don't even, or like, some kind of like fetish that they don't even understand why they have. And it might also make, if they see their father being misogynistic, which it's misogynistic to be DL, like they will be like that too half the time. So it's just like
can
it
I
is a
speak
very
yet?
damaging thing. Hmm?
I was gonna speak.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I agree
Say
with you. I like what you're saying. I feel that one big point that I'm also trying to make is that it's damaging to families and people, DL men, of course. But what I want to say is the environment and how people cultivate this nasty heart, which is unfortunate. And I want to go back to talking about that gay male that harassed me when I was in college. I could not understand why he did what he did to me and why he spread rumors, lied on me. It was nasty what he did. He acted like he was my best friend. And then he just tore my life apart. And it was crazy. It made me almost not want to be on this earth. Like it was so scary. And I was trying to report him on things and I couldn't find his name. And I was like, why is his name not computing into the internet correctly? Like people were like, literally, I was reporting him to the campus dean and stuff, and they're like, we don't know who that is. And I'm like, what do y'all mean y'all don't know who this is? Like I was bugging, bro. I was like, my mind was going crazy because I got betrayed by the club I was in, but also like I was like, what is going on? And I come to find out that this person, this boy, black boy, at Newport University, I forgot the year, but he was younger than me, so I have to know. They have to know. He was doing adult entertainment on Twitter. How I found it was I looked up his Instagram name, and that popped up. Also, a blog popped up that he made talking about how he hated the fashion club that he was in, that he sooner became president of. It was insane, and then he deleted it, which is crazy. Um, but he did adult entertainment, and I think he was probably like 18 or 19. And what I saw online disgusted me, not because, well, yes, because it's age one, but not because it was gay material. Do what you got to do. I don't care about you. But what disgusted me was that I didn't know. I had no clue that this black boy who was walking around in a college telling black girls and Dominican girls how to walk, how to talk, how to wear your hair, telling us all this stuff about how to be a woman and our insecurities. And you out here popping and locking on a YT penis in a dorm at your house at the age of 7, 18, 19. I knew his age. And I looked at the time to post because I was still looking for his name, but I was like, oh my God, this is the guy that I thought was my friend. And he didn't tell me that he did this stuff. Now, if he let me know the real him, I wouldn't have been friends with him and I would have looked at him differently, especially because of what he did. But like, this would have made sense for what he did. I was a confident black girl that was walking around like, you're not going to tell me nothing. I don't do sex work. You can't make me feel insecure. Misogyny is not with me. I fight the power for my hair and my people. You can't tell me nothing. So you got the nerve for you as a gay black male to tell me how to dress, how to walk, talk, and eat. But you out here and you got your booty hole online at the age of 17, 18, 19, 20. You are out your goddamn mind. When I found that out, I was so like triggered and disgusted because he really was trying to make women, this is how you be a woman. having sex online is not how to be a woman. That's how to make some money. And you could do that, but don't you ever make me feel insecure because I don't see what you see. And that's what I mean by T.S. Madison is a problem. The sex work in itself isn't the issue. It's about what you derived from being in the queer community because of the sex work. How you feel women should feel, how we should act. There's so many gay men that I've come across, even at my job, that have put me down for not doing sex work, that have looked at me crazy because I have people that are willing to help me and give me money without using my vagina. They literally look at me crazy when I'm like, yeah, somebody helped me and gave me. They're like, you don't have sex with them. You don't do nothing. You don't do nothing. You don't, what? That's why? How you getting money? How people give you money and you don't have to open up your legs? Something wrong with you. Literally, that is the triggering misogyny sex work world that I think gay boys are introduced to because of these DL men as well. Like these nasty, I said it in my other video, these nasty perv men are like literally in their 50s and 40s talking to these boys online, and
Grooming.
then they like, yeah, you wanna make some money, you wanna do this. They'll make some good money, which is unfortunate, but they will. They talk to them, and it literally, I love those. Giving this example, those videos where they show the people text. They act like they're young boys, and they text these professors, doctors, or they text them, and there's these nasty, disgusting interactions, sexual combos that happen between that person that's supposed to be trusted, a teacher, even. And then they go in and they're like, you remember sending this to me? You remember sending that? And they expose that person. And as harsh as it is, and you shouldn't be showing up to people's jobs, which you could also get arrested for that going on campus. But I want to say that in comparison to the DL Whisperer and what he does, because they're out here and they just exposed a pedo on a college campus. Yeah, they can go to jail for stepping on college premises and they shouldn't have been there. They can go to jail stepping into someone's office when they shouldn't have been there if they call the police. But they did just out somebody. So yes, the DL Whisperer can be wrong. But what I'm saying is that it is helpful to know. It's helpful to our reproductive system. It's helpful to our mental. It is helpful. The way he goes about it can be wrong. I ain't gonna lie. He pushed the limits. But I understood what the purpose was in the beginning. He was hurt and he was like, I want people to know, you know what? I'm gonna show people my say for instance, the people who show these pedos, like expose them, say maybe their sibling was something was done to them by a pedo. So now they decided I'm gonna show the world, you guys, regardless if it's legal or not. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna show you. So yes, I get the crazy nuance of it all, but there is a lot of danger that is happening to others, one. And then my last point is that, like I said, the introduction of a gay boy. Not everybody, but I'm saying the ones that start with the sex work route, it shows in their character and the love they don't have for individuals that are not exposed to that. I was so innocent. I had no clue that this gay boy that I met was doing sex work on Twitter. I had no clue. He didn't tell me. He probably told other people. I feel like other people knew. He just didn't tell me because he knew I'd have been like, are you crazy? Get out of my face. You're going to sit up here and tell me how to walk, how to talk. Meanwhile, you got your booty hole on the internet. You don't get out my face. I'm skirt. You're not gonna tell me how to be a woman. You don't lose your mind. He knew that was going to be the energy he was going to receive from me because I'm really smart. So once again, I'm gonna say one thing and then you can start speaking. My biggest thing I want you to react to, Bestie, is that I think it is so dangerous when you have these boys, and I say boys because they are very young. They're 18, 19, 20. I don't care. I call them boys. They boys. They just, came out like somewhat. Not came out, but where they've been out and might have a little bit more femininity as well, but they've been out. Their parents are accepting of them. It's different. Like it's those type of, men, and I would say trans girlies as well, you know, that get groomed by these 40-year-old men. And I want to say one thing is that these 40-year-old men and 50-year-old men, they're not all of a sudden being like, I'm ready to be gay now. I'm ready to come out and be with you. No, that's not what's happening. What's happened is that that man has now had a kid, family, wife, church. He's done everything he needs to do. Maybe his kid might even be 18 by now. He's probably like, I'm done. I'm done. Now I can go be with what I want to be with. I'm close to retirement. What you gonna do? I'm close to retirement. What you gonna do? Now I'm gonna be with this fresh, hot piece of ass. I'm gonna say it because I didn't get to do that when I was younger. And that fresh, hot piece of ass is the gay boy that is mean to me. Let me say that. Those are the one. I don't like that. I understand what happened to you, but that's dangerous that you are now with someone who is DL and was DL. They don't all of a sudden just say, I'm going to come out and I'm going to be the real me, F my wife. No, that's not what happens. It's usually they're like, enough is enough. I'm just like done. I raised my kids. I went to the church. I showed them about to have retirement. And then also, I feel like the boys, they've realized I'm gonna get more money out of you, and I can expose you, and I'm gonna manipulate you because you were wrong for trying to groom me. And that's the love that they think is normal. You're gonna marry me now. I don't care. I'm gonna tell your wife you're gonna marry. You see what the DL Whisperer was dealing with? Wives calling him this and that. He talks about they were calling him. He was a sugar baby. They were calling him. So yes, what he was doing wrong was wrong as well. But he talks about how he's had bad love. His DL relationships were so bad. And I think for him, it got to the point where enough was enough. And he's like, forget this, F this. This does nothing for me. I have this woman calling me. I feel guilty. Like he just didn't go through with it. He didn't decide. The DL Whisperer could have. He could have been with an old married man, even take him away from him. Like, right? They say take him away. Did it marry? He could have done all that. But I think he realized, because he's still smart, he's not stupid. He realized this is just stupid. I don't need to settle for love like this. And he stopped looking for love, in my opinion, and just did this, which is fine. But he went a little too crazy. So, what's your thoughts on my opinion of DL men, old DL men, and young gay boys and young trans women? What's your opinion on that?
Um, yeah, I definitely wanted to bring up that as well, how like you said, like and like I said, that a lot of, unfortunately the queer community's like first experiences, either sexual or romantic, are grooming. And not that that's untrue of even like cis straight people, because it happens to us all the time as well. But like particularly for them because they're unprotected by like family usually, whether it's like, their identity is protected, they want to find people like them on the internet, so the internet is usually the thing to even reach out to people, which is why even Grinder, like, they don't have no, legal issues. It's so easy to make a profile and pretend you're a certain age that you're not. And it's not really wrong for a kid to do that who's underage or whatever, because they're underage. Like, you know, it's not their fault that they think this is the only way. But unfortunately, there's a lot of predatory people
I
that
feel like
go,
they believe they accept who they are and they
yeah,
look up to them
yeah.
as a parent.
But the only reason why older people like that are accepting you is because they can use you. Like, it's manipulation. Like, anybody who's a groomer is manipulative. They're usually like love bombing because they know that they can manipulate young people or kids into having intercourse with them, and kind of, making them feel it's consensual even though they're grooming them and it's statutory. And so that's like, it's really unfortunate because I think it really warps people's perception of like what's acceptable. And like you said, like sometimes people take their grooming, like learning that they're groomed to the point where it's like, well, now I can use sex to manipulate you instead. And I'm gonna manipulate an old person. But then it's like, at the end of the day, like, I think they try to tell themselves it doesn't matter, like, if they have a family or not, because they should know. But I'm like, it's still shitty. Like, that shouldn't make you feel good, and it also does promote DL people from being a thing, like to be a thing, because it's just like you're giving them a reward still for being DL. Even if you're taking their money, like usually these people have endless amounts of money, so it doesn't even matter if you're taking their money at this point. They're not losing anything; they're gaining you. It's I just think that's also the problem with even sex work in general. Like, people think it's so empowering, but I'm like, I learned the hard way that it's really not, because after a certain point, it stops becoming for you and it starts becoming for other people, no matter what you do, because that's just the name of the game. It's a job, unfortunately. It's a job of exploitation. And often being gay is being exploited, by older people, especially, and groomed, like, and it's very common, I feel like, unfortunately, for, like, young
and
teenagers.
and trusted people, if it's not the church, trusted people
Mhm,
because you ran away trying to look for
mhm,
trust and this person did that. That's why I have an
yep,
issue. Now, I'm not trying to say I have an issue with T.S. Madison's house and the fact that we don't really know what's going on. We don't understand it. It don't make no sense. Her
mhm,
house, she has like this house that's supposed to help trans women, and there's no evidence
right,
that it's helping anybody. I
right.
don't know.
But that's even the
She
thing
got
too,
fraud
like,
cases.
sadly with, like, things like that, like, even in, like, ballroom culture, let me say, like, I'm sure there were still a lot of gay people who groomed other gay kids, like, because they had no home, like, they're gay people can still be predators. And so can trans people. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your identity is. You can still be a predator. It doesn't mean all people are, because that's the thing that I think trans people especially are so afraid of being labeled as that because of the rhetoric today of being in the bathrooms, being perverts. Like, they're seen as perverts, unfortunately. They're seen as cross-dressers. And it's unfortunate because it's not
You gotta say
true.
perv.
Oh, perv, sorry. I didn't know that was a thing. How is that? That's so stupid. Anyways, like, they're being seen as, like, pervs going into restrooms and, like, molesting. I don't even know if I can say that. I mean, that's, like, whatever. Like, doing things to women in bathrooms, which is not true. And it's unfortunate that there's a rhetoric. Like, I think they're so afraid of the rhetoric
There
that
are
it's
some creepy guys though that are doing some weird shit. Oops, excuse me. There's some weird. Well, I could curse, but some weird stuff though right now.
sure, but it's like it's usually not normal trans women or real trans women, in my opinion. Like, literally, like, that one white trans person who, um what's it called, they unalived their whole family. Like, they did that can we say the shooting word? Shooting. They had a public shooting or whatever, unalived their family. Trans white
Just
guy.
say pow pow, girl.
Oh, I asked you if I could.
No, because I
Anyways,
was just like, you can say pow pow.
pow pow, that's okay. Anyways, unalive their family, whatever, in a public area. And essentially, like, all Republicans or conservatives can say is that this is like trans people are blah blah blah. That's what becomes the rhetoric, unfortunately, when somebody gets revealed. But they were literally like a YT power type of person. So it's just like there's no, like, coincidence, unfortunately, with this. And I think that queer people are so afraid of being seen as, like, the bad guys, because they often are seen as that and pitted as that in society, that they are so afraid of, like, holding people accountable. Because it's still true that there can be people that commit crime or are predators in our own community. It happens all the time because we are vulnerable, even to each other. And a lot of people were unhoused, so, like, I can only imagine, like, even in the ballroom scene, as much as people wanted to protect each other, how many people went missing, how many people, were unalived by each other. It's sad. And because as well that, like, sex work is so prevalent at that time, especially now, it's like you can do it behind a screen, so it's different.
And
But
now
back then,
OF is so widely used. And what I was
yeah.
trying to say with that particular individual who I want to focus on how they were nasty to me, a biological woman. They were so nasty to me and had a vendetta out against me as a biological woman. Meanwhile, they were dealing with all that you're talking about. They were dealing with sex work, and I was not. I was very innocent. I would say I'm not as innocent as in like I know more now, but I was very innocent. I wasn't exposed to that lifestyle. I wasn't exposed to that at all, especially at the time. Like that was like a lot of people know about Twitter and Tumblr, but I didn't know that he was doing. I didn't even know that was a thing out there. Okay, whatever. But I was very innocent, and I want to say that for the DL Whisperer, just think of it as if he's talking to innocent people, please. Yeah, like I said, the catty videos are annoying, but please, like when you think about why are they listening to him, there's innocent. And when I mean innocent, I mean like I didn't even know there was a PORN on Twitter. Like I don't know about that. I don't deep dive like as I should deep dive stuff. I don't y'all know me. Got ADHD, think I'm dyslexic. That's too much work. Too much work. Um, but like I didn't know that he was doing that. And when I tell you that affects somebody's mental, to the point where they do psychotic things, and so has T.S. Madison has done psychotic things, has been to jail. We know when it comes to meeting a girl that is in a bubble, they're not nice to us. And that's what I see online a lot when it comes to the gay community, the black and brown specifically community. I literally had a coworker tell me like, "Why are you not doing OnlyFans? Why don't you have a sugar?" He was so nasty. It got to a point where there's a thing with gay men specifically where you think they're joking with you, but it's really not a joke. It's really a sub, and they're being fake. But because we are women and we're programmed to think that gay men want to be like us for some reason, it's because of misogyny. We are just like, well, he's gay. He's just gay. That's the normal for them to be like, "Ah, ah, ah." Like, no, it's not. You're not gonna talk to me that way. And it got to a point with that coworker where enough was enough. He was looking at my stories like 24/7. He was stalking everything I did. He would ask me like, "Why aren't you with anybody? You're traveling. You're traveling." He was so jealous of what I was doing. Like, it was a lot. I think he even commented on my YouTube post and said that I was homophobic or whatever. But it was a lot that was happening to me, and I feel like you can't speak on it. Women, we can't say anything because we're not gay and it's going to be seen as homophobic, which it's not, but they're going to use that on us, and we don't want someone to say that. But I want people to know I'm very smart and you're smart. If you see this, you can clock it. You're allowed to clock it and tell them to stop. I felt so uncomfortable with this gay man. It was actually 3 gay men in my life that I've met, that one from college and 2 from my job, where they have such toxic energy of femininity, very, very toxic. And then they meet me and they like me because people like me. And then they're like, but she's not doing what I'm doing. She's not sleeping with somebody to get some money. She not, and it gets these nasty. Their heart gets nasty for me, like to me. And then I deal with it. And then it's like, excuse me. And it's like, no, you're homophobic. It's like, no, I just don't like toxic, gay, trans, queer, whatever. I don't like toxic shit. That's it. And I feel like I have a trauma response too. And I'm learning with these gay men. I do have a trauma response, really. I just shut down and I talked to my bestie about it. And she's just like, F those people, they're like terrible, toxic. This is what they're used to. But, we want to know why. We want to understand. That's why I talk to. She's very educated in these things and patient and calm. I'm not. And I'm like, why don't they like me? Like, what did I do to this gay man? Like, I feel like they don't, I feel from them that they don't see me as womanly too, because one, I'm not taking their advice. But then two, I don't wear weaves in my head. I don't have makeup on. They see I'm not giving them that. But then they also see, if you look at my social media, I I'm popping. Like, I'm cute. Like, I got a nice tush. Like, men love me. Men love me online. All types of men, old, young, whatever, they love me. Do I give them the love back? No, because I don't know them. But I'm just saying, like, they love me. They see the love. They see the popularity from me, but then they're confused because I am not, I want to say I'm not hyper feminine, even though I know I am feminine.
You're
I
not
am
male
not
centered.
giving, huh?
You're not male centered.
Yes, I'm not male centered. And I made a video about it. I was like, I feel like they just hate me because I'm not male centered. And most of our insecurities as women reminds me of the first guy that I was talking about, the gay boy from my college who didn't like me. He's male centered and he only liked insecure male centered women. And they were insecure because they were male centered women. Let me say that. That's how I want to put that. You understand why he liked insecure people? Because they were male centered and they were insecure because they were male centered. They weren't getting good energy from being male centered. They weren't getting good energy. And he thought he could fix it. But with me, I wasn't male centered. So when he came across, when these gay men, not all, the toxic ones come across me, it's like a breakdown, shakedown. Like, they don't like me, but they're being so fake. And it's like, just let me know you don't like me, and we could just keep our distance.
And
And
also,
that's it.
some men, they start to think that they're in competition with women, especially if you're male centered. You think you're in competition with women, and that
I think that's where
when
we're going to
a
end it too. We're going to talk about
yeah,
male centered gay men and trans women. That's what I was trying to get at.
um, when you feel like you're in competition with other women, um, as a trans person or a gay person, doesn't matter. It's kind of like, what was I gonna say? That it's like basically you if somebody is not male centered like you and they still get some kind of attention that you're not getting, you feel like they're being combative, even if they don't, they literally don't care. Like, you will automatically think that that person is being combative towards you, or that they're combative against you because they just don't want to, listen to the advice that you have to say. And I think that's why people like that are only okay around people that are more insecure than them. Because if you're around someone that's very confident, you notice your insecurities more. But if you're around people that are more insecure than you, then it's like, damn, I'm hot shit. These people think they're fucking ugly. Like, it makes you feel better about yourself when you can surround yourself with people who are more insecure than you and not confident at all, or who base their confidence off of things that you tell them about yourself. Because it's kind of like, people are looking up to you now. People are looking to you for advice. They're looking to you for an opinion. They're looking to you to ask them how they look. It makes you feel, superior. It makes you feel more pretty. It makes you feel, more wanted. It makes you feel more confident when you have an insecurity and you rely on other people for that validation of looking towards you. Yeah, I'm eating a chicken wing.
No, it's okay. Thanks for saying that. It's definitely been a battle with me, and something that I hope a Black girl hears this. I've been dealing with when it comes to interacting with just people overall. Um, but when it comes to gay men, I know what's happening. I now know what the deal is with these particular types of gay men and or trans women. And I shouldn't, my innocence should not be tormented because of what you're going through. That's not okay. I am not doing sex work, and you shouldn't be mean to me because I'm still getting rewards from not doing it. And it could be in any aspect. Like, I know, like, it's a feeling and a thing I know. Because in this club, I dressed really cute in this college club. Cause I just felt like it. Some days I would wear sweatpants and this, and the next day I would be like, bam, and everybody would be like, oh my God, you're so gorgeous. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and I'm nice about it, but I'm like, I'm not like, I don't need your approval. So what I'm trying to say is that when I dressed so sexy and so feminine and nobody told me how to do it, and still today when I do these things and it's just me wanting to do them, I feel like gay men, not all, but the ones that are toxic, are really mean to me, and not kind to me because I'm not showing them insecurity. So I've in my life lately have been trying not to impede whether it's my opinions that make sense or intelligence, whether it's my beauty, whether it's my talk, my walk, or my wit, whether it's my fashion, which I'm working on. I've learned that I started to shell it and hide it because I was scared of and am scared of jealous people. But in this context, I'm very afraid of jealous gay men, so I've started to shell or hide my confidence because I feel like every time I am just being me, which is a confident person I am, they end up doing something to me like get me fired, kick me out of a group, spreading rumors, but then they act like they're so nice in front of my face, and it like is so scary because I never want to experience that trauma again from that gay boy in college. So yeah, what is your thoughts on that? That's a personal thing I'm trying to work on. I'm very scared to be confident around gay men because I feel like they are gonna get do what like that guy in college did to me or the people at my, job did.
Um, mm, Sorry, I'm swallowing. Good chicken wing. Um, yeah, I think sorry, I got hungry. Um, I think it is like, kind of a sad thing that there are like some queer people that feel so in competition with people, which is kind of like, I don't know. I think it's kind of ironic because like you're not straight.
I'm just
So it's
saying,
just
if
like,
I'm not insecure, I feel I am not
mhm,
accepted by gay men. Only insecure women I've seen to the toxic gay men I've been around, which people won't even say are toxic. They're like, they're just gay. No, they're toxic. They are accepted by them because they're insecure. And I've had to tell women that too. I'm like, he only messed with you
mhm.
because you're insecure, right? And they're like, really? And I'm like, yes. Like, out of all the baddies in this room, no offense, but I'm like, why did they pick you? And I know what that person is going through. It's a lot, but I'm just saying I know what they've been through, and I'm like, but they pick to latch on to you. There's a reason because you don't know yourself, and they know you don't know yourself as a woman.
Mhm.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Um, I think that's true for some people, but it's like, obviously we know that's not all the people. Like we've met really nice gay people who understand that there is misogyny. As much as too like that there's like a lot of racism in the gay community, whether it's like going to clubs or, things like that, and fetish. Um, there's a lot of
Well, I just want to talk about how people are being mean to me
I know,
because
can
I'm
I finish
confident.
my conversation? Oh
Yeah.
my god. Like I know what you said. I was there. Um, but yeah, it's like I just think it's a sad thing. It's just something that you have to learn to like not to say not be bothered by because it's human to be bothered by people doing irrational things. But it's, like, something that you have to just like, for me to understand how people act, like, whenever I'm troubled by something, I like to understand why they are the way they are because it makes me realize that it's not about me. I didn't do anything to this person. It's a personal thing that they have inside of them, whether from a trauma or from something that they're projecting, unfortunately, on me because they're triggered by your existence of you being confident. Like people can be triggered by that, not necessarily by you, but just by your existence. And maybe you existing in a way that they wish they could and that they never will because especially if you can never be put in your shoes as like a beautiful woman as like a gay man whatever like maybe they will never be able to get the men that um you will because of the fact that they're gay and there are just some men that will never like that and it's true because that's what I said like there is a trauma that comes with being rejected in like a heterosexual way as a gay person, there's a trauma with that because it's like it doesn't even you could be the best fit partner for that individual. You could be their best friend. You could have everything in common with them. You could understand them and they will never love you. And I think that causes a lot of trauma in gay people that they don't fully realize until maybe later on it projects in this way when you meet a straight woman that's like, or you find very attractive as well because you just admire them for who they are and that they can get the man that you always wanted but never will. Like it's kind of like a permanent insecurity and like it will always make you feel invalidated as somebody. And I think that's why also like sex is so prevalent to make you feel validated in any way when you feel rejected. It's the same thing for even like just heterosexual relationships.
I'm happy you said that because that's basically like the DL part, the whole conflict we've been like talking about. And I guess for me personally, how it's so personal is like I see that in and I have empathy, but I'm like, you gotta like don't take your anger out. Don't take your competition, jealousy, whatever you're thinking, don't take it out. It's not right what people are doing to you, but don't take your anger out. Like the whole DL thing. Like I said, I was like, what do they want? Do they want they as in trans women, do they want us to sleep with them to make them feel better? Like, will that make you feel better? Like that somebody that doesn't, this man is literally like wanting to be with women for this, but at the same time he's gonna mess with you. Whatever it is, my point is that there's an issue here. There's an issue, but the problem is that well, what makes that person feel good is knowing that this person is straight and they actually want me. And it's like, no, they're not straight. They could be I forgot what the other things are. Are they pan or what is all those things? Like, yes, you are a trans woman. You're a woman, but
Mhm,
also don't act like the science is not sciencing. I understand you are a woman, but what people are doing right now is acting like the science isn't sciencing. We are the same person. And I think that T.S. Madison needs to realize that we are just not. We're not. We're not the same. Let me say same exact, maybe. We're not the same exact person, and there should be no competition. But because of the ideas of sex and the problem around DL men and you and gay men, like there's problems, there's issues happening that you don't want to see. You're blaming straight women. And I don't think the solution, which is what would make sense for what they're saying, what would make sense is for straight women to just have sex with these men and be with them, because don't judge them. Don't out them. They just, they're little babies. No, I ain't trying to get any type of HIV. You're bugging. Like, don't play with me. Don't do that. That's the issue I have. Like, what you said made so much sense. Like, that was my issue. It's not all. Once again, we're not generalizing. We're talking about the toxic individuals that people don't want to see as toxic because they think that we are generalizing when it's not. We're talking about that you need to be careful with these toxic people and that they are wrong. They're truly wrong. And I think the contradiction is the DL whisperer being fed up and doing what he's doing. It's a lot, but instead of going the route of T.S. Madison, he's doing the opposite. And I really think there's something interesting there, that they both are doing the opposite spectrum of things, but the same, I don't want to say violence, but the same problem, like the same nasty energy. Opposite spectrum. T.S. Madison is pushing towards misogyny deep, and then the DL whisperer is going against misogyny deep, and they are going in it at toxic ways. That makes sense.
It's kind of become like they're, like when somebody just takes a stance to like take a stance and be against somebody. Like, that's what it started to feel like for me, because I feel like it started in a I honestly too, like, I've seen clips of T.S. Madison that weren't bad and spiteful, like, when she had something good to say, and it's just, like, for both of them, like, they've had good points about certain things, but they are both uneducated in certain things as well, and I feel like now it's, like, because of their personal bias and experience and trauma, they're like, "Well, I'm gonna take this side, you're gonna take that side, and we're just gonna hate each other." Makes no sense. Like, you're honestly almost the same exact person. Literally. Like, makes no it reminds me of, like, Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. I hate to bring that up, but it's true. Like, it literally reminds me of them too. Literally the same person, but now you're just taking a side both of you are taking a side that you're uneducated about, just to say you can. Like, okay.
And yes, I agree with you. This is what you were talking about in the beginning. It just causes mess. This is just mess that has been caused. Like T.S. Madison and him, they both know this is we're rallying the troops. I think that T.S. Madison has a stronger troop of celebrities and well-known trans women. But these well-known trans women also are. I'm gonna end it here because I want to say that I love all people. I don't want y'all thinking I've had trans students and I love my students, like they are in my heart. But this is the problem. They're, my students that haven't, I would hope that they have not experienced this, but my students, like I said, bringing back to innocence, the ones that have not experienced sex work, the ones that don't wish to go into sex works, the trans women, the trans girls, let me say, if you're a young Black trans girl, I hope you hear this. If you want to be an astronaut, go fucking be an astronaut. If you want to be a pilot, go be a fucking pilot. T.S. Madison is not your example. Do not, I repeat, do not do what she did to get famous. She did sex work. She did. I don't want that for you. I don't judge sex work, but I guess I am. But at the same time, I'm just saying, like, I want for I'm going to quote normal, as in, let's say that's the general population of trans women. That's it. Because I've even met trans women that have told me, I'll cut myself off and use this one example. I met a trans lady at my job, and we do the same career, different company. And she is so sweet. We're having a good combo. Like, I'm letting her know, I'm like, yeah, I'm queer. I'm with you. Don't worry about it. Like, like it was like giving her the good vibe. And we were just talking like we were best girlfriends. It was great. It was like literally we were waiting for something. I had to go first, but she sat there and she was sad. I could tell because I didn't get her number or anything. And also it just felt so insincere, so not genuine, but it was genuine. But I could tell she was like, dang, a real friend gone. As a trans woman, to even have friends, let's talk about that. Like real quick, I'm gonna do this quick. To have friends as a trans woman, not normal. Not saying it's not normal to have friends. I'm saying your friendships are not always so great. It's not always so great. It really isn't. You can have really terrible, terrible friends. And this trans woman told me, I said, how is it being in New York? She's in the city. How is it making friends as a trans woman? I forgot why I asked her, but I just asked her, and she said to me, it's so transactional. She said, it's so transactional. That is the issue I'm talking about. The transactional is sex work, bartending, nightlife. Transactional is sex work, bartending, nightlife. Another thing, I forgot what it was. Oh, the ball scene. The ball scene is still transactional. Well, all that stuff, the clubs. It's like transactional. It's not giving like you really want to be my friend, but could you get me into this club? Hey girl, can you, it can be dirty, like gritty. And the same thing for women, but I'm just saying specifically for it's such a small group. It's a small group. You're looking to trust someone, and I'm gonna give T.S. Madison as an example, even though I could give many others. I'm just saying, like, think about it. Like, she's seen as the mother, whatever, the mother, and as of right now, we don't really know what she's doing with that house and that one trans girlie that's in it. There's so much fraud, all this stuff that's coming out as expected. It's like transactional. My point is that the trans woman told me it's so hard to make friends because it's so effing transactional. She was so like annoyed in a good way. Like she was venting to me. And she was like, I wish I could just have a good girlfriend. I wish I could have a good trans girlfriend. Like I wish, but it turns into so much things when you got so much going on by society. Like we get it, but the way people take it out is not okay. So that's what I was trying to get at. That like there's innocence. There's some people who have innocence. You see how the trans woman I talked about is like, I don't ever want to be basically she was like, I'm never gonna be friends with a trans girl. Yeah, her innocence is taken away. She was exposed to all that stuff, and she got kicked out, all this, we get it. Like you're exposed to all this toxicity and you think that is it, that's all the world is, it's normal being with DL men, that's so normal, like that's the world that we're given, that's what we got to take. No, you don't. You can go be a fucking astronaut, and you can go marry your Prince Charming. I know, yes, that's one thought that people have. Like, it's never gonna happen for me as a trans woman. I know that you're thinking that. I'm a cis woman. I be thinking that, okay? But don't stop dreaming. Don't stop thinking about that. Yeah, you should just want to love your life, not think about a person. But I get it. I do understand, and I have empathy towards it. But I think that a lot of trans women are accepting, and girls are accepting that they can't have a normal life. I'm trans. I look like this. They're not going to let me do this job. Say if you're a trans woman and you want to be a gynecologist, well, are people going to let you do that? The answer should be yes, but there are companies that are racist. There are companies that are sexist. There are companies that don't want to care about transgender women. So we deal with these things, but you still got to try. Trans girly, like if you're listening, you still have to try. I want you to try to be a doctor. And then no one should know where you got to go to the bathroom or what you got to do at the end of the day. It's terrible. I don't like it. But still try to don't give up. Try to find a place. Don't think that you have to, because that's what we're gonna end on. Because some girl said that in my comments and she got blocked. Don't think that you have to do sex work and you have to engage in these sexual acts because you're trans. And that's the only thing you can do is be hyper feminine, super misogynistic, money taking, money grabbing. No, you can go be someone. An example I want to use because I love Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. Their daughter, oh my gosh, gorgeous, phenomenal, like talented, living her best life, going to college. I be seeing the photos. I love to see it. And I would show that to, if I still was teaching right now, I would show that to my students. They're like, this is a person like, who's trans and they're doing their thing. You can do it too. Don't think that trans has to be, I came from the harm and I had to do this and I had to be a stripper. And I like, okay. I girlies, I get it. But it's 2026. And if you are going to be the face for the community and you want to help those who are coming up behind you, stop acting like we're back in 1990s, 1980s, because we're not. So the trans women that they're using online, I just think are kaputs. This is not the best example. There's better examples, beautiful examples of actors and just amazing like producers, artists, so many other examples you can use. Fine, I'll show y'all. But T.S. Madison ain't one. And I'm gonna say it. Okay. Whatever your last words, and then we'll end it.
I feel like you wrapped it up pretty well. Like I said, I don't know, check out activists who are trans people because they tend to know way more than anybody who's like a fake activist, in my opinion. I think T.S. Madison is a performative activist because it gave her a platform. I really like Cat Black personally, and Black is in BLAQUE. And she's also like poly and talks about how that is in her life, and, like, if you're interested in that. I just think she's really smart, and there's a lot of women like that, that are not like T.S. Madison, that are very informed about things, also things outside the US that people are going through. So, yeah, look up more people than just, like, what you are thrown in your face by media, and that's really it.
Alright, we're gonna wrap it up. Hopefully, we'll do another video like this again. I loved it. It was great. It was too long, but I love it.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all, and thanks for my bestie being here. Bye.